And the training arm of the People's Democratic Party is set to reopen after years of dormancy following the party's loss in the 2015 election. While the PDP Institute was established in 2000 during the administration of Olusegun Obasanjo, it was set up as the party's intellectual base where policy directions are fashioned out for good governance and national development. The National Publicity Secretary, Debo Ologunagba, says the agency is set to fulfill its mandate after the setback. He also adds that the institute was instrumental to the achievements of the PDP in the 16 years of its leadership because it provided critical data and information concerning policy and economic directions for the country.
For PDP, we know the hope of Nigerians and with our party. And we know the only way you can have that connection with the people is to understand the environment, get the data, get the statistics, have information, have your research, have young people, particularly in this new age of computer, that we need all that. And we have that as a contrast. This institute was very instrumental to the achievement of the PDP in the first 16 years because there was data, there was information, we were able to determine what do we need, particularly on the economic front. That brought about the privatization, that brought about those achievements and the giant stride that we found, particularly in communication technology, and that's why today we're enjoying that. Fast forward to now, knowing that the APC government has taken this country down, and it is consistent with their promise. They said to us they will take this country from top to bottom. Now, in 1999, Nigeria was down. The PDP took it back up. Now we're in a worse situation. We're actually below the bottom now. Now it is only the PDP that can take it back up.
Well, Debo Ologunagba, PDP National Publicity Secretary, joins us now to discuss these issues. All right, let's start. It's so good to have you. It's so good to see you again on Newsnight. Let's start, not necessarily from top to bottom, but from our first story tonight on Peter Obi actually, suspending his campaign and calling on other parties, including, of course, the PDP and the APC, to do same as a mark of, concern for the flood victims. Will the PDP go ahead and do that? And the other issue raised by the Labour Party, the health status of Atiku Abubakar. They're saying he's not fit enough to, take the reins of Nigeria in 2023.
Thank you very much for having me, and it's nice to be here again. And good evening, Nigerians. Hey, let's start from this. It is sad that the calamity befalling this country right now, in terms of the flood victims and all the destruction that we see, is sad. And I think every right-thinking Nigerian will connect to that sentiment. But as PDP, we have been upfront on this. I don't think anybody should profit from the suffering of other people and politicize it. I expect that the president candidate of Labour Party, if you really want to do something, it's not by announcing that you want to suspend campaigns. There's what we call multitasking. If he cannot multitask, then he's not fit to be the president of this country. Do you need to go under the clear light to announce, oh, I'm suspending campaigns so that I can see people? Really? I think we must put this in perspective. And the era where people come in position of authority and public position and then say things like this, to trivialize that, is actually very disturbing to me. The PDP does its thing simultaneously as we reach out to victims all over the country. He doesn't need any announcement like that, stage manager, and then get photo ops to discuss that. So, but for me, what is critical? So look at, why are we in this? In 2012, we got this. The agencies of government were telling us about what could happen. Why have there been this challenge that the government, that are all the agencies under it, have this information and they didn't do anything? I think those are the conversations we should be talking about, rather than taking the cheap political high ground and say, oh, we're connected to the people. What we should be asking about policy decisions, climate change. What are we doing as a nation? What can we do to ensure that the opening of dam in Cameroon does not have this kind of effect it has here? What are we doing as a nation in terms of ensuring that the agencies of government that are saddled with these activities are funded properly? And that's where the issue about data becomes very, very important. Ensuring that we're not disconnected and speaking local things and not getting ourselves away from the event in the world, particularly climate change, which is real.
Right. So you think it's politicizing the issue?
Absolutely.
And all of that. But the second leg of my question
about the health.
Yes.
Again, it's so,
is it fit enough? That's a question that's been raised.
Absolutely. Number one, I'm not a medical doctor. I cannot claim to be one. But from our own...
It's fitness now, not the health status.
Absolutely.
Right.
How do you determine fitness? Again, when I watch the Labour Party, and I try not to get issue on personal issues. Someone yesterday tweeted, and I hate to even talk about it, and lied. I mean, because it's so sad. When you people go on social media, the platform world, to lie about somebody collapsing at the airport, which is not true. And that's irresponsible. And to have a political party wanting to be the president of this country, or to produce the president, latching at the national level, perhaps international level, to say the same thing, echoing lies, I would describe this very adversely as irresponsible.
Okay. All right. You say the Labour Party is scoring cheap political points by announcing the suspension of their campaigns. How has the PDP reached out to the flood victims to even show concern? I want you to answer that.
Yeah, again, like I said,
you have to be in government to connect with the people?
No, you don't have to be. We're already connected to the people.
How are you connected to them?
Because at different level from our state level where issues are there, we're talking to the governments behind the scene, because I don't want to come on TV and say, oh, we're giving 200 bags of rice to somebody or 1,000 bags of gari.
Great.
I think that is not the right thing for us, because we are connected, one, on the issue. What are the challenges that brings about this? Why are we in this? I think those are very important, because again, it goes beyond the hop, step, and step, jump fixation. We don't want to do that. We want to go into policy issues, go to the issue that
not
we
knee-jerk
talk about.
reactions.
Not knee-jerk, we just, like a rapid resort college. No, we don't do that in PDP.
Let me ask you, is the umbrella still able to accommodate everybody? And I ask this because it will look like Governor Wike of Rivers State seems larger than the PDP. He's dared your party to suspend him. He's not been suspended. And just yesterday, we heard him publicly endorse the candidate of the APC in Lagos. And I do know your party has a candidate in Lagos. So is that umbrella still intact?
The umbrella is very much intact. If anything, it's actually taking more people into the umbrella. Again, when you talk about the person of Governor Wike, I have always said at the plan that he's an important member of this party. One thing is clear. He had not said he's not a member of this party. And that is gratifying. But again, this is a party that is measured, that follows a process. Even in the haste to do things, the tendency that you want to get things done, but the likelihood that you will breach rules and then go against the rule of law is there. There's a temptation. We don't want to do that. And for us, conversation is ongoing. I just recall, I think 2 days ago, Ukraine and Russia were exchanging prisoners of war. What does it mean? They're talking.
Right.
So constantly we're talking. We are hopeful. We expect and we hope that Governor Wike will recognize that he has been a pillar of this party and that this party had provided him the platform that promoted him into prominence. And that's very important. It's a symbiotic relationship.
And if he doesn't recognize that hope?
What happens is this. Like I said, because the party has a process. I'm not going to come in here and discuss the internal processes of our party in terms of how we respond one way or the other. Yes, those conversations, those discussions, those pictures and videos that we saw, of course the party will look into that. Of course, decide as appropriate, without losing the fact that yes, there's need for us to be together in unity, because, and this is more important, beyond all these comments and all these positions, that we are all agreed that this country requires rescuing and that all hands will be on deck. And we expect that Governor Wike will demonstrate that office, which he owes, which he will respect, that he will do that which is needful in the interest of Nigeria and the fact that this country requires rescuing and we need everybody to be on board for that matter.
Right. And still on that train, there seems to be a demarketing of the PDP from within the top echelons of the party. We heard Otom, the governor of Benue State, say that if he wasn't a member of the PDP, he would, endorse Peter Obi. Was he just, playing to the gallery at that point? No one knows. The answer is, in the wind. And then again, the national women leader, Professor Stella, Efa, claims that she's being marginalized. She's not been carried along this, mainstream, the campaigns, whether in Kaduna, in Uyo, she was, she didn't play any role. Unlike what we're seeing with the APC, Better I Do, she seems to be everywhere. What exactly is the situation with that?
Okay. On the first point of the governor of Benue State, I'm happy that he said, if he were not a member. So which means he's a member?
Of the PDP.
Which means he subscribes to all the beliefs we have.
Right.
That is gladdening. Again, Governor Tom, in the video that you ran before this, coming into this
Chat, of course.
the chat in particular, he had said that this country is sick. Who made it sick? APC. So if he agrees that this country requires fixing and that he has a part to play, then of course I believe he will. And I have no doubt about that because he had demonstrated that he is a member of this party publicly, which has again affirmed. So I have no reason to doubt that at the appropriate time he will. And they will come on board because they know that the corporate existence and the interest of this country is far above party and individual. So I am confident about that. On the issue of demarketing from within at the highest level, I won't agree with you on that.
Okay.
You referenced the woman leader. I was at Uyo. She spoke at the event. In Kaduna, she didn't speak. But again, I would be wrong to sit down here and begin to imagine what informed that communication if indeed it came from her. So for me, and I think your platform is very rich and very wide, that you can have a opportunity of speaking to her so that she can attend to that and indicate those areas of marginalization, either real or imagined. I think it would be fair to not talk about her.
Is the NWC of the party aware of this misgivings on her part at all?
Well, as a member of the NWC, I am not aware.
Okay.
But well, it could be that, yes, she has those feelings. But like I said, it would be out of place for me to begin to comment on the feeling of Professor Ato Efa and then talk about...
We did extend invitation to her today. We're expecting her to come on the news tonight.
Yes,
unfortunately, she did not make it. We are still hoping that
she will.
At some point she will come to speak for herself. But this was the communication from her that we received. Let me now ask you about the elections and your hopes, because believe it or not, a lot of people think that the perception is that the PDP is disjointed. And like Ngozi said, there's a lot of demarketing coming from all quarters. The PDP has more southern governors than it does with the north, unlike the governing party that has more northern governors than the south. I'm laying this foundation for my question. Your candidate is from the north. You do have more southern governors. Yet, you have more southern governors who seem to be boycotting your candidate. In the APC, we've seen more northern governors endorse, publicly, Bola Tinubu, who is from the south. Are you concerned with the politics of numbers and the region that we are seeing playing out and how it will affect Atiku Abubakar?
I want to thank you for this analysis. Very interesting analysis. But politics is not that arithmetical. 2 + 2 = 4. And 24 hours is a lifetime in politics. 24 hours is a lifetime. You could begin to see that. Those statistics are correct. But as to the issue of attack on PDP, There's this saying, this local saying, that you only throw stones to mangoes that has fruits. Nobody is going to talk about parties that have no value. Nigerians are connected to PDP because we have capacity, we have experience, and Nigerians know, and they can do a comparison of 16 years of PDP and 7.5 years of APC. They are there in the public domain. Is it life security? Is it job security? Is it education? Is it electricity? Is it even communication? Anything. Just name it. Nigeria can make a determination. Is it debt that you cannot relate to any development? 42 trillion today and counting, where tomorrow it can be X can be anything we don't know. Is it the prices of the exchange rate between the dollar and the naira that we can't talk about, which makes planning difficult? Is it the SME that are dying in droves? So it's endless. But we have a candidate who has experience, who has capacity, who is fit, who has done it before at this level, who understands, and who is a bridge builder, who has been described variously as a unifier. That is important because this country needs unity. Without unity, even the challenges security-wise, you can't fix. Because it's a partnership between government and the led. It is only when you have information that you pass it on to the security that they can act on it. If you find a part of this country where people feel that they are not wanted, of course they have information that could help you security-wise, they won't give it. This is a party, the APC, have always been, and when I look at some of the pictures, they denied something about Kaduna and their action there. It was laughable. I read that statement. It's so infantile. Sorry to use that word. Because APC has never owned up to anything.
All right.
They've never owned up to anything. They've never done anything.
Okay, let's
when killings happen under them, they don't know about it.
Right.
When people were dying in Benue, the president didn't know about it. When people were killed in Maiduguri, they were told, oh, we didn't know about it, they didn't tell us. When people died at the NSAS in Lagos, this government came out and said, nobody died. Again, it's a character of that. So if they denied Kaduna, it is typical of the character. And in any event, the very, very sad commentary to say we hired thugs and then they were not paid. And then they disrupted the process before it started.
Right.
They should have disrupted after they have done the job and you didn't pay them. But so infantile. I read it and I just said,
all right, that's quite interesting. Earlier, you referred to Atiku as a unifier. It looks like he'll have a tough job convincing Nigerians that he is the unifier that he says that he is, and that he's a bridge builder and all of that. Because a lot of Nigerians did not expect that statement. Whether it was it, there's this, it's called, Freudian slip. Was it a Freudian slip on his part, that statement that he made? Can you clarify to Nigerians that Atiku is not a divider in chief? That if he's handed over the reins of power in 2023, he's not going to be saying, he's not going to be giving some kind of advantage to one side of the country against the other.
Yeah. What I can tell you straight away is that Atiku Abubakar in 2023, when he gets sworn as the president, will not be a president that says, I'm for everyone and for no one. Lack of accountability. He's going to be for everyone. Because his life has shown that. When you take people's statement out of context, this is what happens. And then they run on that narrative. Oh, he's a divider. But this is a man who has tentacles and connection spiritually because he has children from every part of this country. I don't know what can be closer than that when you have broad relations. Spouses all over the country. Then not only that, you have people that he has invested in their lives, his own personal lifestyle in terms of his physical, he's a doctor and physicians are from other parts of the country. He's comfortable with every part of this country. So when they come out with these distorted stories, it is to create an impression that he is. You don't just call him unifier for nothing. People who say so, his lifestyle over the years demonstrated that capacity to reach out across board. He is the unifier that Nigeria needs at this time. And we know it. And Nigerian people are connected to that. I think this is where legitimate position from other parties, and you see the APC saying that. I mean, that kind of APC said, I'm entitled to.
Okay, let me very quickly, before we let you go, let me still take you up on the issue of, you know, Professor Stella Efa, the national women leader of the PDP. According to her, I mean, she sent a memo to the national chairman of your party, and the memo leaked. And that's how come the media and the whole world, you know, heard about her alleged marginalization and all of that. Did the chairman of your party receive that memo from her? What exactly was his reaction? I mean, or was the reaction from
I like the word alleged. So obviously, you're sure, yes, it was leaked, so alleged marginalization. I want to leave it at that. I have said earlier that I think it would be fair not to begin to discuss Professor Efa Ato here without having heard from her. Want to even accept the authorship of that document. In this era of creation of document and the images, I think it is fair that we do that. I can't speak to whether the chairman received it because I'm not the chairman's secretary, and he hasn't discussed that with me. So I can tell you this. What is important for us is that this party is united. The NWC is united. You expect that, of course, there will be disagreement on issues. But again, that does not translate to the fact that the NWC is not together and the party is not together. We are together. We are united in the mission to rescue and rebuild this country. The Nigerian people are, and you can see that from all the visits, from all the votes. And
we do hope that the People's Democratic Party is not redefining the definition of unity with all we are seeing in your party. But Mr. Debo Ologunagba, we must thank you very much for obliging us your time
as always
on the news, as always.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.